everybody. I'm Lisa Brennan.
And I'm Justin Trice.
Welcome to Crime of the Arts, a true crime podcast that peeks behind the curtain to shine a light on the dark and untold truths of the creative arts.
From film set mysteries to celebrity murders and art heists, these two theater nerds will usher you into the unknown.
This week, I'm going to tell you the story about the boy band Con.
Oh, boy bands. All right, I'm there. And I'll tell you about My Hips Don't Lie, But Taxes Do. This is where we're at right now.
That's a great title. My hips don't lie, but I do on my taxes.
Yeah. I'm gonna talk to you about Shakira job. For those of you that didn't get that reference.
Oh my God, you fucking nailed it. Everybody got it. All right, buddy, you're up. You're up first this week.
All right, let's do it. So I'm going to be talking about today something that's still pretty recent. And I can tell you now there's a partial resolution, but there's still another trial or so once we get to that road. So at some point, I'm sure we're going to start doing that little blurbs where we're like, here's updates on these things. Yeah, we're going to have no choice. But I'm here to talk to you all today about Shakira. I was just about to I feel like you can't say her name without actually doing that.
You have to jiggle just a little.
We're going to get into Shakira and some of her potential financial trouble, if you will. For those of you, my God, it just drives me crazy to say for those of you who don't know who Shakira is, but I realize you never know. Some people are younger than us.
Listen, she did play a halftime show not that long ago.
She did. Yeah, for the woman. Yes, for those of you who want to know who Shakira is, I mean, she did play a halftime show with, what was J-Lo? Yeah, just like a year or two ago. But she's considered by many as the queen of Latin music due to all of her hit songs, along with her versatility as a musician. You know, she's one of the top global artists out there in the music industry for 20 years with international hits like Hips Don't Lie, Beautiful Liar, She Wolf, or whatever. So we're going to get on that topic, but I'm going to give a little backstory on Shakira for those who don't know.
Are you a Shakira fan?
Am I a Shakira fan? Not necessarily. When she first started, was I a younger guy?
Because she's hot. That's what you mean?
Yeah.
She's got a very, very unique cadence to her voice.
It's weird because it's not like a vibrato. It's just like this thing.
I can't stand it, dude. It's not for me.
I wouldn't go out of my way to say like I'm a Shakira fan. I do like the song Whenever, Wherever, but like I'm just being brutally honest. Yeah. As a young boy, we were just watching the music video. Like
you were like, oh, she's just really hot. Her hips don't lie.
That's all I got. But no, also to be fair, because I believe she was I'm pretty sure I saw a season of The Voice where she was on there as a judge. Yeah. I thought she was pretty chill. Yeah. So, but she's all right. I mean, she is a performer. I will give her that because the halftime show, she was doing her thing.
It was very good. Yeah.
But Shakira was born in Barranquilla. I actually do know how to say this. Go. It's just tongue-tied. Shakira was born in Barranquilla, Colombia on February 2nd, 1977.
Nailed it.
As an only child of Colombian and Lebanese descent. Her father was born to Lebanese family in New York City before moving to Colombia at the age of 5. And she has 8 older step siblings by him.
It usually goes the other way. Usually they go from Colombia to the U.S.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So her mother was born and raised in Colombia around the area she grew up in. She spent the majority of her formative years in Barranquilla, where she was raised Catholic by her parents and attended mostly Catholic schools. Growing up, she began to pick up a fascination with watching her dad use their typewriter to write stories and even asked her parents to get one for Christmas. When she received her very own typewriter, I know that's pretty adorable, right? You're just like a little kid. You're like, I want a typewriter.
Like my son, he walks around with screwdrivers and pretends he's fixing everything because that's what my husband does.
Oh, adorable. See, but that's the thing. When they're young, you pick up on some of those things and you're like, this is where they're heading. This is good. So when she received her very own typewriter as a Christmas present at the age of 7, she began using it to write poetry. And eventually she started writing songs on that typewriter.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, from an early age, again, the signs were there, and she was doing her thing.
So cool.
So like that's where her interest for music came from. And from a young age, she already knew that she wanted to be a performer and would often sing and dance for her classmates at school. As a teenager, she met a local theater producer named Monica Arita, who became impressed with her talents and wanted to help build, a career in music with her. So Ariza went above and beyond to help Shakira secure her first record deal with Sony Music Columbia, where she convinced one of their executives to hold an audition for her in a hotel lobby. How legit is that? Like, that's pretty fucking cool. It's like everyone clearly saw this talent there, and like, luckily she was paired with the right person who was really trying to help her out with that.
And God, I really appreciate those kinds of stories too, because I feel like it's not like you're not discovered anymore. Now you're just Instagram and TikTok and whatever your clout is and your followers and all that stupid bullshit. It's so
stupid. Now it's all about followers and just you're just essentially the product itself. It's not about real talent. It's been that way for a long time.
And like the idea that you were like working towards something for a long time and on this circuit or whatever it is, and then you have to meet the right people and be in the right place at the right time and have the chops, to really get picked up for something. It's not like that now. It's just not.
Nah, it's definitely not. A whole different age.
Have you ever seen the show on Netflix? It's called The Hype House.
Yeah, I've seen that.
That's like the perfect example of curated crap.
Or even that other Netflix one, isn't it? Like The Circle?
The Circle, but The Circle's like a show. The Hype House is literally just like a reality show of TikTokers that all live in a mansion together.
Oh God!
And create content together.
Yeah,
it's crazy. I feel like an ancient person. Be like, what are you all doing? Yeah.
After she was performing for those for several other executives, they proceeded to sign her to record 3 albums just based on her performance.
3? Straight from the jump?
Yeah, straight from the jump. They were like, damn. So that's impressive in itself that they were like, we're going to sign. And this isn't like any small studio. This was, again, Sony Music Columbia. Like, this is big.
Right.
This is fucking big.
Yeah, it's a big time. So
yeah, just based off that performance, they were already they agreed to sign her for 3, and she recorded her first studio album, Magia, at the age of 13.
What?
Yeah. So here's my thing. Like,
my God, I had no
that's why when you ask me if I'm a Shakira fan, I'm like, like, to be fair, in the beginning I wasn't, but as I researched everything, I was like, okay, so she's the real deal, 13? And like I get it now.
13. What were you doing when you were 13?
Not anything relative to my field of act.
Me neither, dude. Riding a bicycle on the street.
Yeah.
Probably starting to drink Smirnoff Ices somewhere.
Oh my God. I'm dead right now. She said Smirnoff Ices. Done.
Oh God. No, I wasn't doing anything worth a damn at 13, and she's recording albums.
Exactly. Full albums.
Wow.
And here's the catch though. And we're getting to that. From there, she took a brief break from music to graduate high school. Like, she had the wherewithal where she's like, I just want to
get my education,
high school like a normal person. Yeah. Before she bounced back on the scene, and that's when she started to become a breakthrough artist in Latin music. So after high school, she graduates. She goes back to music. She found major success in the Latin American market during the late 90s before eventually crossing over into mainstream pop, pop music industry in the early 2000s after learning to speak English with the help of Gloria Estefan, who is another famous Latin artist. Like, that? Mind blown. Yeah.
Gloria Estefan.
Gloria Estefan helped teach her English and help her cross over to the US.
Wow. How old? Do you know how old Shakira was when she like hit mainstream pop?
Well, it was early 2000s, and I said she was born in 77. So let's just say, for argument's sake, she was like 23, 24.
Yeah, early 20s.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Again, meeting the right people at the right time. And I guess if you make enough footholds in your industry, someone like Gloria Estefan can come over and be like, hi, come with me. Let me help you.
Yeah, let me help you. Let me mentor you. In 2001, she released her first crossover English crossover album, which was called The Laundry Service, which included her lead single from the album, Whenever, Wherever.
That was her
That
first
song,
one.
as we know, that song, as we know, became an international success. And you keep that in mind, like she was already a success, like
Just
in
on a different
Latin
market,
America.
right?
Yeah, just on it now, she fully made but yeah, the song became an international success and was able to chart at #1 in multiple different countries, essentially putting Shakira on the map. Over the next few years, she began to find more and more success as international artist touring the world and winning multiple different awards for her music. She even wrote the official song for the 2010 World Cup in South Africa called Waka Waka. Well, Waka Waka. It was Waka Waka.
Like a Muppet.
Parentheses,
Waka Waka.
This time for Africa, yeah, which is still the top selling World Cup song of all time to this day. I remember that song too.
Yeah, me too.
And I feel like they still play it. And anytime I play FIFA, they still play that shit now.
Oh God, you play FIFA too?
I do. That's not going to be a whole separate podcast on my thoughts on that lately. maybe Mike will come on. We'll talk about that.
No, you won't.
Oh, he's not. Oh, the way you said that, I thought he played.
He does. Yes, very much. He's got like he needs to go to like rehab for the way that he used to play FIFA. So many broken controllers and televisions and shit. It's insane.
Oh my God.
I'm sure that you're not that addicted, but
no, not to that, but I'm addicted to other games.
He was real serious. He's much more into cars now. It costs a lot more for him this new addiction, but
so he can't break it.
I'll take it. Yeah. He's gonna kill me for talking about this. Hi, honey.
What's up, man? Yeah. With all the money and success that Shakira was able to gain over the course of her career, Shakira and her team took many steps to ensure that she was able to maintain as much wealth as possible. What do I mean by that? Well, we're going to find out. Back in 2008, she was considered to be, she was considered by many to be one of the top earning women in music as a result of her multiple chart topping albums. So she started to make certain arrangements to help reduce her tax burden. She incorporated a subsidiary called Ace Entertainment in Luxembourg and transferred all of her image rights that were previously held by a Maltese-based company that she was also the sole shareholder of. That was called Turnasol Limited. Soon after Ace Entertainment was founded, the company signed the contract with Live Nation that guaranteed Shakira 300 million euros over the next 10 years.
What?
Meaning that all of her associated income from that deal would be viewed as taxable income under the Luxembourg tax code.
So that's why she moved it? Is that what you're saying? Oh my God.
That's what we're getting to.
Okay, so hold on.
That's what we're getting.
The phone.
There's a lot to unpack there.
So what's interesting is you see a lot of people get nailed for tax evasion, right? Like, but usually it's not this, I feel like it's not this blatant. Like,
exactly.
You had the situation or whatever, the fucking guy from the Jersey Shore, he got like his accountant cousin or whatever stole all his money, and that's why he went to jail for tax evasion because he thought his taxes would get. She's like, oh fuck this, I'm putting all my money over here where you can't get to it. That's shady.
She's legitimately, she doesn't, I mean, I don't know her, but it seems like she doesn't give a fuck. And it takes me back to, and this was one story I thought I'd eventually cover. I don't know if I'll get into it, but Wesley Snipes, it takes me back to the Wesley Snipes tax scandal because
I don't know this story. Maybe you should tell in an episode.
Okay, I'll hold back. But it's similar where people are just doing blatant things and they're not even trying to be
like obviously breaking the law.
Yeah. So obviously this was done on purpose so that Shakira could take advantage of the patent box regime, which was a tax law introduced by Luxembourg in early 2008, which exempts 80% of the income generated by qualified intellectual property from any taxation.
Wow.
So she was trying to keep 80% of that 300 million. Let that shit sink in. Like,
that's so much.
This, look, man.
Flabbergasted.
And it fucks me up because when all of this started happening in real time, I'm like, it's Shakira. Like, I don't.
What is her net worth? Do we know? I gotta Google it. You can
look it up right now. But image is a powerful thing, people, because when I first heard about this, the first thing I thought was like, this must be some clerical error, or maybe it's like her accountant just doing shit. But because you just see Shakira and you see everything she's about, you can't picture it. But no, don't fuck with her money. Apparently, that's the.
Yeah, I mean, it says she's worth $300 million. That's her net worth. $300 million. That was the lottery this week.
She's worth $300
million.
Well, that's the thing. She's worth $300 million now, and she was supposed to get 300 million euros over 10 years.
And euros
so she's gonna be worth a lot more.
Worth more than dollars.
Correct.
Holy
correct.
crapola.
So, yeah.
Wow.
That
You couldn't spend that in a fucking lifetime.
I know. And also, she's still like within Colombia and Latin America, where I mean,
things
you don't
are
even
exponentially
need that much
cheaper.
money.
Yeah.
But yeah. But yeah, she was doing all those things, like I said, about the patent box regime, and it exempts the 80% of the income generated by qualified intellectual properties from any taxation. This also brought her effective tax rate down to around 5%.
5%.
And I had to take the pause on it because I really need people to understand, like,
do you know what the federal tax rate is in the U.S.? Do we know? It's got to be 20-something%.
I'm just gonna Google it. So
okay.
I'm doing federal
US tax rate. Income tax rate.
U.S. federal tax. Okay.
It's like 27% or something.
Lord. There's several different brackets. The highest is 37. Yeah.
So the average person's probably in the 20s, and she's got 5.
Yeah.
Damn.
Woo.
Damn.
Yeah. But she decided to negotiate with the Luxembourg tax authorities through her Ace Entertainment entity to reach an agreement.
Oh, yeah.
I can't even say it with a straight face. I keep watching Lisa's reactions, and she's like, "What the fuck is he saying now?" Because every time she thinks I'm done with the adjustment, I keep going.
Oh.
So yeah, she negotiated with her company, and they were able to lower it down to her only paying 2% in taxes on her earnings.
Are you telling me that I could call the IRS and try to negotiate my 20-something% tax income?
Apparently, if you transfer your image and everything into the type of entity that she did,
my God, that's so ridiculous. No one needs this much fucking money. And oh God.
So it gets better.
Oh, does it? Is that what it does?
I mean, better is a subjective
Fair
term.
enough. I'm sorry I'm yelling at you, Justin. I'm just mad.
No, I love it. Let me tell you.
Losing my fucking mind.
Yeah, because she still faced that dilemma of paying 50% and I'm always fucking up words. In reparations. And is it reparation taxes? I have it as repatriation taxes. I don't know why I did that. 50% of reparation taxes if she spent her money directly in the United States. So what I was getting at is because she still faced the dilemma of paying 50% reparation taxes if she spent her money directly in the U.S., she decided to establish her tax residency in the nearby Bahamas, where she purchased a $1.1 million home in Nassau.
Yep, there's everything. Everything goes to the fucking Bahamas with money.
Everything goes to the Bahamas.
Offshore accounts.
Always. Damn. So this was later investigated by the authorities in Spain, who saw the home purchase as just a way for her to establish tax residency in another country outside of the U.S. that was close by, because all you need to do to establish tax residency in the Bahamas is to fucking buy a piece of property. Yeah. Which everyone tries to do. Again, like, don't do crime, folks. But if you're going to do it, if you're going to buy property in the Bahamas so you can have the residency and all that bullshit, you still need to create like a fucking paper trail to that.
Why don't you just pretend a little harder?
Yeah, pretend a little harder. Pretend a little more effort. Spend a few months there.
Right.
Create a paper trail. Show you're buying shit from there. Like,
like being in the fucking Bahamas is so horrible.
Yeah. So fast forward to like November of 2017. Shakira was named in the Paradise Papers, which were a set of confidential electronic documents that showed offshore investments and accounts that were leaked to a group by German reporters. The findings showed that Shakira moved $30 million, to be exact, in music rights from her Malta-based company, which her attorneys claimed was completely legal. Because of the information. Oh, go ahead. I will let you take that in.
So she's got fucking accounts all over the world in all these different. I mean, Malta is like a very small country.
Yeah, she's moving money. She's moving money quite a bit. And in many places, one would almost think it's almost becoming money laundering, but that's.
I mean, this is so much more in depth than I realized. I knew this had happened. I had no fucking clue. This is like calculated.
But look at the intricacy. Clearly, you've been doing so much shit that you are now on a leaked confidential document.
Okay, so wait, hold on. Let's unpack that for a second. The Paradise Papers?
Yeah, it was a set of confidential electronic documents that showed a bunch of offshore investments and accounts that were leaked to a group of German reporters.
So I'm having Hamilton flashes where it's like, what is it? You know what I'm saying? Sit down, John.
I know
you
what you're
fat
saying.
Motherfucker.
Yeah. The fucking documents, the pamphlet,
the Reynolds pamphlet. Federalist Papers. That's where you got me. Paradise Papers. Yeah. So they're just calling it that. This leak, they're calling it the Paradise Papers, and they're talking about all these offshore accounts. That's nuts.
It was handed to German reporters, and from there, the German reporters published all of it.
Is it like a WikiLeaks thing? Who dropped this? We don't know.
Perhaps that could be another podcast in itself.
Okay.
We'll take a look, because I started looking into that, and I was like, some things aren't adding up. But we're gonna get to that. Because of all of the information that was leaked, Spanish authorities began investigating Shakira's finances and found that she did not pay her taxes in Spain from 2012 to 2014.
In Spain?
At that time, in Spain.
So not Colombia. We're talking about Spain. So she's got more
about Spain
money
at the moment.
In Spain, in Malta, got it in multiple countries.
Yeah. We're talking about Spain right now.
Okay. I didn't know that.
At that time, she was living with her boyfriend, who was Gerard Pique, and their newborn son in Barcelona. So, I mean.
Okay, residency, so you have to pay taxes.
But she claimed that her primary residence was in the Bahamas at that time when she was not touring internationally.
Okay.
Again, paper trail. When it comes to money and shit, you really can't lie or get away with it.
Well, that's been proven over and over.
Yeah. In July 2021, the Spanish government found that there was enough evidence of criminal activity for Shakira to be brought to trial on tax fraud charges.
Oh my God.
Another set of leaked financial papers that were released later that year, called the Pandora Papers, showed that Shakira submitted applications to establish 3 other offshore entities in 2019. So her attorneys claimed that she was just trying to incorporate these newer companies as part of the process of dissolving and replacing some of the existing companies that she had.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
This is the thing. She might have been able to get away with I only stay there in between tours. But the fact is, you had already had one leak giving your offshore shit. And now you have this second one. Like, who are you fooling at this point?
It's just like enough. Just relax. Like, if she wasn't so active, it may not have caught up to her.
Exactly.
But she just hasn't. It's the greed, man.
But that's the catch. I told you her attorney said what they said, and that basically raised suspicions. So after being unable to reach a deal with the Spanish prosecution ministry back in July of 2022, she decided to go to trial to prove that she is innocent and help her avoid facing an 8-year prison sentence for 6 alleged tax fraud crimes that she had committed. On September 27th, 2022, Shakira was ordered by a judge in Barcelona to stand trial for failing to pay 14.5 million euros in taxes, even though she claims that she has already paid everything that she owes, plus 3 million euros in interest. The prosecutors in Spain are now claiming that they have sufficient amount of evidence to prove that the singer was living in the country during the 3 years between 2012 and 2014. Shakira and her legal team have denied these allegations. stating that she has evidence of her proving that she did not spend enough days in the country during that period of time to be considered a resident for tax purposes. Because she was busy touring the world, that's her claim. It remains to be seen how everything will eventually play out. But it looks like both sides have come ready for battle.
Woo-hoo. Imagine she's like one day over whatever that number is that she's allowed to be in the country before she's taxed.
Well, that's the catch, because even if she's off one day, then she's guilty, and then she will be facing 8 years in prison.
And she's got a kid, a 1-year-old. That's as a mom, that's like terrifying.
That's
but
brutal.
I mean, don't do crime, folks.
Yeah, don't do crime. So this is still an ongoing thing, and I gave you the most recent update about September 27th. She's ordered to stand trial. They're still sorting out the new trial date now. Hopefully, it's estimated that it will be closer towards the end of this year. We should have the verdict by then. But here's the catch. Once we have that verdict, it's either she's going to jail or she's somehow innocent. But I've seen in the past how this has gone with a few other celebrities. And if you're not cooperating with them, and also this is Spain's government. They don't fuck around with that. If you're not cooperating, it's over.
Either they're going to make an example out of her or she's going to get away with it.
Yeah.
Really, that's what it's going to be.
I'm leaning more towards they're going to make her pay. I don't think she's going to do jail time. I think in the end, she may be labeled guilty. They'll just have her pay all of that times whatever interest.
Wow.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
We're going to see what pans out. If they put her in jail, then again, it's not the first celebrity I've seen go to jail for tax fraud. So
for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Some get away with it. Others, I will say this, the ones that get away with it, they stick to their guns about they're not guilty, but they have a hell of a team helping them out.
Yeah.
Those that do go to jail for it, they were arrogant fucking people. I don't know where Shakira stands on that spectrum. If she goes in there arrogant, this game over. That's it.
It feels kind of arrogant, doesn't it? With just moving all your money around like that and really not giving a shit.
The whole thing feels arrogant. Yeah.
Huh.
So
very interesting.
That's all I have to say about that now. We're going to keep you updated on that.
Let me introduce you to a few new friends of ours.
Do you love listening to true crime podcasts, but could do with hearing something a bit lighter as well? I'm Tara Saraban, host of World's Dumbest Criminals podcast. It's a show all about the most ridiculous and bizarre true crime stories from around the globe. World's Dumbest Criminals is available on iTunes and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Make sure you subscribe if you don't want to miss any criminally stupid shenanigans.
Cool. Well, it's funny because my story is called The Boy Band Con, and I feel like we're just flashing to the 90s and 2000s with our characters here in our stories.
Yes.
So my Boy Band Con is the Lou Pearlman story. Do you know this story?
His name sounds very familiar. Okay. Did this involve Backstreet Boys? Was he smuggling money?
Okay. So it's not exactly smuggling money, but
okay.
So before he was implicated in one of the largest Ponzi schemes in U.S. history, Lou Pearlman's lies started to unravel at a meal with the members of NSYNC at a Los Angeles steakhouse.
Uh-oh.
Sitting around the table with their families at the Lowry Prime Rib in Beverly Hills, it was around 1999, the boy band members who lived on a $35 a day per diem were excited to learn how much financial windfall awaited them after their debut album sold more than 10 million records. So boy band fever was kind of sweeping the nation and the world, and young girls like me were buying T-shirts and CDs and holding signs outside MTV's TRL.
And young guys like me was definitely jamming and singing to these to impress girls. I mean, I'm still jamming to it, not to impress girls, but it's catchy as fuck. It's October, people. Like everybody, Backstreet Boys, you know what I mean? You're going to play that.
You're doing the Halloween dance? Perfect. And most importantly, girls were screaming their lungs out at the very near sight and sound of whoever their preferred band was. I'm a massive NSYNC fan. I've seen them 7 or 8 times live. I've spent hundreds of dollars. and I'm not shy about it. I love you, JC. Please come talk to me. Okay, anyway.
Oh my God.
In the 90s, both the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC were topping charts and selling albums left and right, skyrocketing them to fame. NSYNC's first album sold more than 10 million copies. That's so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I was just talking to Michael I think it was yesterday, about how like kids today don't even know what it's like to stand outside of a record store and wait for the doors to open so you could buy that CD. We're not in the cassette tape generation, but
we're like bum rushing to get inside, standing out there in the cold and rain to get it.
Or like going to the wall and waiting for tickets to go on sale at the Ticketmaster booth. Like they don't get it. You just go on pre-sale, whatever the shit now. By the way, Blink-182 tickets went on sale today. So woohoo. So the members of NSYNC anxiously awaited their first checks from such a lucrative beginning to their careers, only to find out that their manager, Lou Pearlman, was paying them pennies for the hours of labor they've invested into the band up until that point. So, being a former businessman in the blimp business, Pearlman began cultivating boy bands in the early 90s, starting with the Backstreet Boys. He was quoted in an interview with ABC saying, "I put the money out to help them. We'd give them choreographers. We'd give them vocal lessons.
Yeah.
We'd give them tutors. And I think I'm a great cultivator." He liked to toot his own fucking horn. And he says it wasn't long before the group's fame took off and Pearlman began auditioning for NSYNC. So he built Backstreet Boys and he was like, hey, look at this template I've created that's actually working. Let's try again. So he gave the members of NSYNC, like I said, $35 a day per diem as their records sold millions.
Fucking crazy.
Right? And early 2000s had everything to do with Lou Pearlman. All the bands that he created came forward to give their version of how the mogul stole millions of dollars from them in a documentary called The Boy Band Con, the Lou Pearlman story.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Have you seen this documentary?
I haven't seen it, but
Okay,
I was slightly familiar with the story. Where's this documentary at, though?
I'll get there.
Because I'm definitely going to watch it. Okay.
It was actually produced by Lance Bass. He's the one who put all of this together. And he's a member of NSYNC, for those who don't know. And it's currently streaming on YouTube Premium.
Okay.
And it includes members from every boy band from the 90s that you could think of. Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, LFO, Innocence, Take 5, C Note, and O-Town. O-Town.
O-Town. Oh, no. The very first making the band,
first making the band, which I was surprised that Lou Pearlman was involved because wasn't that a P. Diddy show?
Well, it became P. Diddy show like after that season.
Okay.
It started with O-Town and then it went more hip hop, R&B.
Gotcha. In the film, Backstreet Boy AJ McLean explains how charming the Orlando-based producer could be. He was quoted saying that if Lou wasn't the entrepreneur that he was, he would have been the best car salesman you've ever seen. And man, if you've seen him, he looks like a fucking used car salesman.
Damn.
So the story goes that once the guys were brought together and they signed on the dotted line, Lou Pearlman enacted what was essentially a boy band boot camp. He would have them sign all of their contracts and then he would buy them a house. And he'd tell them they can quit all their jobs and that they were going to start this boot camp experience. And that boot camp experience was unair conditioned airplane hangars.
Ooh.
And it was the same for all of them. NSYNC, Backstreet Boys. The guys would be rehearsing 6 to 8 hours a day in sweaty hangars. They said that we were working our butts off day in and day out, and man, was it hot in those Florida summers. So just imagine being in an unair-conditioned metal building, pretty much just sucking up heat.
You're basically fucking frying, right. And they're rehearsing 6 to 8 hours a day, mostly choreography. You're like sweating your body weight out.
Right. And if you've ever seen NSYNC or Backstreet Boys perform, I mean, they just move constantly. Chris Kirkpatrick said, "I'm surprised none of us had heat stroke," but he admits that as repetitive and annoying as it got, it was actually kind of fun. I get that. There's probably a little bit of a sense of like when you're doing a theater production, that camaraderie, you feel that family vibe and
right.
You act like a bunch of idiots together. So I guess that's probably a bit of that.
Well,
there.
here's my thing though, because I'm just processing this. Boy bands, I'm well versed in them. Lisa will tell you we debate about this all the time. But Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, both of them had a member that was already grown ass man. Each of them did. Mm-hmm. Like they each had one. So at this time, it's a bunch of kids who don't know any better, and they're like, "Well, this is just a life."
It's like 14-year-old Justin Timberlake and then like 27-year-old JC. JC, I think, was the oldest.
Oh, okay, yeah. For some reason, I thought it was Chris Kirkpatrick. I didn't know, but still, it's like these are grown ass men. And then on the Backstreet Boys, and it was Kevin. Can't think of names right now.
Okay.
The tall, dark one that was the bass. He was the grown ass man while they were all teens. So I wonder what it was like for them to give up their regular life. They were full on adults,
right.
And they're now with all these kids in a hangar fucking doing this.
Wondering what the fuck you're doing with yourself.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of the pop stars of the 90s and 2000s were all on the Mickey Mouse Club before.
Yeah.
Were any of the members of Backstreet Boys doing that stuff? Not really, right? Not child stars?
They weren't. I mean, Howie, he was an actor. He was like in that movie Parenthood. He was in a bunch of films, but the rest of them weren't doing that shit.
Yeah.
And Kevin was the one I was thinking of. He was like already in his 20s by then. He was Brian's cousin. He was their replacement because they had another guy that was like a kid, and then I guess he couldn't hang in the hangar.
Are you hanging on the Backstreet Boys side of the fence, Justin? Because it sounds like you know a lot about the Backstreet Boys.
Listen, we're putting all cards on the table, and I hope everyone's listening to this shit.
What you got, buddy?
NSYNC is great.
There better not be a butt. Oh my God, there's a butt. He said butt.
NSYNC is great, but it's really, that band is really just Justin and JC. It's Justin and JC featuring whatever. But like, I'm Backstreet Boys in terms of you hear all 5 voices. I'm about that life, and just in terms of sales. And I know Lisa's going to be like, well, they made more albums. Even if you cut off the extra albums that were made, they sold more. But I like both bands, but I rep BSB a little bit more. For those of you listening, please comment on our social media and our other shit. The gauntlet has been thrown. It's Backstreet Boys or NSYNC.
God, Justin. Oh, if you get the Patreon and you see this video, you'll see that I just had a stroke.
Yeah.
And how dare you? Anyway,
we have this talk like once a year.
I know. This is a constant battle. So after 2 years of endless touring and promoting their album, the members of NSYNC got their first checks at that fancy dinner, and their families are all there to celebrate. It was actually an event, a first check presentation, they called it.
Okay.
And they opened their checks, and their hearts sank. Do you want to guess how much the checks were?
Like $1?
No, that's too blatant. But
okay.
So
what was it?
So JC said that he was expecting some like big magical check for selling millions of records, touring with Janet Jackson, dominating the charts, sending teens into hysterics, and instead, the checks barely eclipsed 4 figures.
4 figures.
4 figures.
Barely.
Lance Bass said, I opened up the envelope and I see the check, and oh my gosh, my heart sank because I couldn't believe the number I was looking at. The check was for $10,000.
$10,000.
$10,000. And not to sound ungrateful, but when you compare it to how many hours the group had put in for this many years, it didn't even touch minimum wage at all.
Exactly.
So McLean says that the Backstreet Boys, who were selling out stadiums and arenas at the time, noticed they were being stiffed too, recalling that some of the guys couldn't even pay for their car payments or their rent in their apartments.
Oh my God.
Could you imagine? And I mean, we're all like they have a major fan base.
Yeah, this is no exaggeration. Like, all concert venues were sold out. Like, any place that they were at created a frenzy. Their albums, their music videos were topping all charts, both groups.
I mean, there was like a Beatle element to it where girls were passing out with excitement and meeting outside their hotels and shit. Like, NSYNC actually put out a behind the scenes DVD. Did you ever hear about this? Mm-mm. It's as a fan, I was very excited, but it is Joey Fatone recorded on a camcorder as they were just starting, like on tour, starting to record their albums and do all these like promos. And it's just them like fucking around, like in cars singing, like do run, like all these different things. They're on roller coasters. They're in their hotel rooms acting like a bunch of idiots. But it's great to see. And then you compare it to this where it's like, that's the same time frame where they were getting, JC literally said, basically we thought it was normal to get food money. And we thought essentially at the end of the road, there would be some magical check. Could you imagine being like, okay, here's your allowance for the day? It's like going to ACTF.
That's crazy. Yeah. But again, that's just like a few days of a competition. These guys were running the gambit for like years. And all you're getting is just a few fucking $35, which isn't covering anything for meals.
Right.
Really.
And then when you put it into perspective, you have, like you said, these grown adults who have cars and houses and whatever apartments. And then you have these young kids whose parents are coming with them on all these things because they're minors. And everyone's only getting food money? Like how are you surviving?
That's wild. I feel like at least on the NSYNC side, maybe they weren't pressing about this in the beginning because like two of them already had money. JC and Justin came from the Mickey Mouse Club. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but
maybe they were just living off of that.
I don't know if you would consider them having money. I mean,
well, true.
You know, like you look at the Britney Spears story and all these docs that came out since Britney was being freed or to be freed, and she had nothing. She had nothing, and she's all in line with all this stupid bullshit. So
true.
I digress. After years of being treated like royalty, the pop stars learned that they had been picking up the bill the entire time against their future profits.
Oh shit!
Lou was making it seem like they were in so much debt that it would be a long time before they saw any real money. So JC actually had an uncle who was a lawyer, and he brought the contracts to him. And that's where he identified the webs of robbery. For example, Lou Pearlman identified himself as a band member, allowing him to reap 1/6 of the band's profit. Same thing to the Backstreet Boys, by the way.
Wow.
So Justin Timberlake was like way too cool for school to partake in this documentary.
Of course.
But his mom,
yeah,
Lynn Harless, talks in the documentary about the moment she realized that her son was being robbed by Pearlman. And she said, every parent is very protective of their child. And like anybody else, I just wanted to kill him. And that sentiment rings very true. I can only fucking imagine. So NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys were among many who sued Pearlman, claiming that he kept a grossly disproportionate amount of money earned from their music. So where was all this money going?
Cayman Islands. Are we going there again?
So in the film, AJ describes how the producer's home was a magnet for fun, like a giant theme park. Lou Pearlman's house was like Disneyland. He had a boat and wave runners and this crazy pool and a private movie theater. And he would have these boy band parties at his house, which on its face sounds kind of weird.
Yeah, that sounds very sketch. That's why I just said, like.
And he tells a story that he and Nick Carter had a double birthday party at Lou's house. And it was a pool party and they invited all their friends, and that Lou was very inviting and manipulative. And he made himself more relatable to them by being this kind of grown-up kid, which I'm getting very like MJ vibes here.
Ooh.
At least these guys were like early 20s, late teens, and not like small children like the MJ stuff. But
well, I mean, MJ, he's a whole other person. That's a whole other.
But you're playing this vibe of like making an environment where a bunch of teen adult men are like, yeah, I want to ride wave runners and hang out and have pool parties with girls and whatever. Like, we're guys, Lance, whatever, float your boat. But
do you watch Cobra Kai? Really random question, but okay, never mind. There's a character in there, Stingray. He was Ryan's friend in Kingdom.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. But he's a grown ass man in Cobra Kai, and he's trying so hard to be relatable to these kids. And he has these parties, and he's trying to do martial arts with them and all these things. It's exactly what you're describing right now. And I'm like, yeah, it's skeevy as fuck.
Yeah. So to that effect, Lou Pearlman was actually a little too touchy-feely. And
oh no.
Members of O-Town member Ashley Parker Angel, which his name's ridiculous.
Yeah, I was like, are we talking about the guys?
Ashley Parker Angel was the heartthrob, the blonde heartthrob in O-Town.
Oh, okay. All right. I remember him. He was the one that kind of looked like the Ashton twins.
Yes.
Like Iceman. Yeah.
So he said that Pearlman would offer unsolicited massages. Ew. And he would go into the rehearsal room and he'd be like, guys, let's see your abs. Take off your shirts. And they felt like, oh, maybe this is like part of being mentored in a band to make sure that you're like in good shape, Because that's what he would say. He would say, you got to be able to sell teen magazines, take off your shirt and let me see your abs. No, I don't like any of this. So Lance Bass said he never witnessed Perlman preying on young boys, but there were definitely still weird moments. He'd like give you a massage and he was touchy feely and you felt like, okay, I know what it is that you're doing here, sir.
No, thank you. No, thank you. No.
You know, and we talk a lot about like females being objectified in these industries. And this is something, you know, that we can't overlook. There are still scenarios where people, men especially, are also objectified by other men, by women, by whatever scenario they find themselves in. It's so gross that all of this over-sexualized stuff leads into trying to become famous. Like it's almost like a rite of passage, which is horrible and disgusting to even say.
So fucked up. Ugh. So fucked up.
So to play devil's advocate, we have Aaron Carter, who also worked with Lou Pearlman. This is Nick Carter's little brother. And he boisterously defends the music producer throughout this documentary, like to the point of crying on camera.
Ooh.
And we know that Aaron Carter's like a hot mess, right? Like
I was just about to say, he's not doing well at all right now.
Unreliable narrator at best. But he said, in my opinion of Lou being a sexual predator is that it's not true and it's just foul. And it hurts to see people continuously attack him.
I mean,
I feel like I need a t-shirt that says the lady doth protest too much, because I feel like I say this pretty often.
I mean, he could also be ultra defensive because maybe
he was also assaulted in some way.
Yeah, exactly. He could still, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He could be in denial about that.
Oh yeah, that's the first thing I thought. And it's a shame because he's super fucked up. You know, Nick Carter like just recently took out a restraining order against him, not allowed to see his family because he threatened his wife and kids, and
he's like still doing meth and all of that. He's
tattoos Aaron's all over his face. But I mean, he's just like having a very public downward spiral, which is very sad.
Right.
So once the foundation of his success was built through boy bands, Pearlman founded Transcontinental, a group of businesses, quote unquote, that he claimed to own and operate. And he used the fame of the boys' bands to get investors for these businesses. But Lou Pearlman ended up being behind one of the most lucrative Ponzi schemes of all time, laundering more than $1 billion and landing himself in prison.
I'm sorry, you said 1 billion?
1 billion with a B, Justin. $1 billion.
Wow. Yo, I mean, again, those boy bands were making money back then, but I didn't realize it was enough for him to siphon 1 billion. Like,
and he accrued more than $300 million in debt before it was all over.
Okay. All right. Well, wow.
Let's get into that. So Pearlman falsely claimed that all of the transactions he was completing with investor money was insured by the FDIC, AIG, and Lloyd's of London. So he was going out, finding investors, saying, I'm Lou Pearlman. I created these multi-million-dollar boy bands. I know business, right? Essentially, give me your money and let me make it something. And don't worry, it's insured by FDIC, AIG, and the Lloyd's of London. So he went as far as to falsify financial statements to secure loans and lure in the investors. But still, Pearlman didn't shy away from talking about what he did. And he suggested to the Hollywood Reporter in 2014 that he ran a more believable Ponzi scheme than even Bernie Madoff.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, so stupid.
Oh, he would say something like that, wouldn't he?
So he, quote, well, Bernie, I mean, he didn't really have anything that made money, adding that he didn't have a chance to make things right in his own Ponzi scheme. And I mean, Lou Pearlman's just got like little dick energy, you know, like he's got to walk around.
LDE.
Yeah. So he actually attempted to flee the country once an investigation into his scheme began and was arrested in 2007. I feel like we went through all of this like massive fame of these boy bands for a decade and nobody knew any of this shit was going on until something like this kind of peaked. And it wasn't even like really hot news, even in 2007.
That's what I was gonna say. I don't really recall that. The only reason I'm familiar with his name is because I feel like I haven't seen that documentary, but I've seen other excerpts and interviews, specifically like Backstreet Boys mentioning this man.
Lance Bass
and
has
what
been
happened.
very, very vocal about all of this. So he was tried and convicted on charges of conspiracy, money laundering, and making false statements during a bankruptcy proceeding. And Perlman was originally projected to be released from prison in 2029. But he never saw the end of his sentencing. In 2010, he suffered a stroke. And he claimed to The Hollywood Reporter in 2014 that the stroke had made him turn his health around. And 2 years later, he would pass away in federal prison in Miami of a heart attack. He was 62 at the time of his death. Former NSYNC member Lance Bass spoke about Perlman's death 3 years later, saying it left him feeling confused about the whole situation. He said, when I heard Lou Pearlman had passed away, I was so confused on exactly how to feel. And I was like, how could you die right now when we don't have this closure? Like, you need to apologize.
Yeah, you need to apologize and, continue that sentence. I mean,
right. Like and he said, there are so many people who are waiting for you to realize what you did. And it pisses me off that he passed away. He said, I don't think Lou felt bad at all. I think he really believed the world owed him all of this.
Damn.
Chris Kirkpatrick, he said, I don't know whether to cry, laugh, feel relieved, feel happy for everyone else. But there's so much wrong with everything about him and what happened that you don't even know how to take death. I thought that was really honest of both of them. You're like, I'm kind of glad he's dead, but also like, what the fuck? I didn't get my restitution.
Yeah,
you know?
You didn't get your closure. You didn't even get the reasoning behind why he did what he did.
I mean, an apology goes a long way.
Yeah.
It really does. It really heals wounds. Apologies really do affect people. So while Bass now sees his time with Perlman as a cautionary tale for other artists, he still smiles knowing the group's most successful album came after the immediate aftermath of their breakup with the band manager in 1999. And it was in a London taxicab where NSYNC thought of No Strings Attached, the breakout album whose title served as a nod to the freedom from Perlman.
Oh, see, I never realized that about the title. I just saw the puppetry. I'm like, okay, but no, this is good. This is good.
So soon after was Bye Bye Bye, their catchy and therapeutic track directed at a man called Big Papa. Apparently that's what he liked to be called, Big Papa. Listen, you are not Biggie Smalls, sucker. Lance told the Post that it was a big FU to Lou Pearlman every time we did it, and we felt like artists for the first time without anyone's hand in it.
That's what's up.
Yeah. So that's the boy band con story.
Fuck. I did not know
No
that he was siphoning money from, I didn't know about the No Strings Attached thing, and I didn't know that he was siphoning money from every single group, including O-Town. I'm like, what the fuck? O-Town only had one album. They only had like 2 good songs, and you siphoning money off of them too? I didn't know they were making money like that.
What do they have? That I Dream Girl. You know what's fucked up in my head is I cross Together and O-Town in my brain somewhere. You remember the band that show Together?
Everyone does that.
Well, because they were probably the same time and they both didn't feel real.
They were the same type. So short story time here. Last year we were like, Peyton and I, we were on vacation. We were actually coming back from like the Poconos. It's a little bit of a drive from where we're at. And we got on the subject of boy bands because, age difference wise, I existed in the boy band era. She wasn't really present.
She's more of the before One She was right in the middle, in the cusp. Like no One Direction, no NSYNC, Backstreet Boys.
She's like on the cusp. So recently during the pandemic, I was like showing her Backstreet Boys music videos and NSYNC music videos, and she was enjoying them. But we got on this drive. We got on the subject of boy bands again, and I think she said something about making the band with Diddy. I'm like, well, before Diddy, it was about O-Town. She's like, who the fuck is O-Town? So I'm playing these tracks for her. I played the 2 hits. It was Liquid Dreams, which I always hate. I always hated that song. I hated the music video.
I did not hate that song. I can't lie.
And it's 2 on the nose. Come on, man. That's a whole.
They're all 2 on the nose. What the fuck are you talking about?
As a kid, man, that was a little too much for me. So I played that for her, and she's dying at the lyrics. And then I played O-Town for her, And she's like, O-Town doesn't really sound like a boy band song. Like the way the piano, everything starts off, it kind of starts off like it might be country. And then it starts off like some Elevator or CBS music kind of.
CBS music.
And then I was breaking down to her like the boy band. I'm like, this is the one who is like sick every other day on the episode and it lost his voice because I want it all. Like, remember that?
At all.
Oh, but no, she was cracking up at these times. I'm like, well, this was like the decline of boy bands. Don't judge off of O-Town.
No, don't at all. Yeah, when I was doing my research, it was funny because they kept talking about the resurgence of boy bands. So it's like the Jackson 5, and then you had Boyz II Men and Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, and then you had One Direction. And it's just every decade or so, you get like another resurgence of boy band fandom.
Exactly. We're always talking about those damn versus battles. And I'm always like, we should finally get Backstreet Boys and NSYNC to do it. But realistically, if we're like going off of sales, it's like, you got to get Boyz II Men to do it. But Boyz II Men would like destroy everyone because they have too many albums, too many harmonies, and they sing in Spanish and English. It's like, fuck. Mm-hmm. But
love me some Boyz II Men too.
Yeah. Well, we hope you all enjoyed this trip down memory lane with these boy bands. Go pull out some tracks. I'm probably gonna listen to Tearing Up My Heart later.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna go drop some Dirty Pop. I'm going to pull out my beatboxing skills.
Oh my gosh. If we get enough listeners on this, should show the video clip from your wedding when Is Tearing Up My Heart came on and what happened on the dance floor.
Y'all are crazy.
Yeah. Too funny.
Yeah, just fair warning. My wedding, the first 5 songs were all boy band songs. My DJ got me to the core. He got me.
We all lost it on that dance floor, but then some weird pseudo dance battle / it could have been like a striptease. I was not involved in this, folks. I was standing there watching. I was trying to end it. I was like, this is a little too much at a wedding. But it ensued off of
hello.
Yeah. Yeah, it ensued between a couple people going against the bride, and it's like to NSYNC's It's Tearing Up My Heart.
Oh my God.
And I was like, okay,
so
this is
funny.
too much.
I had a blast.
Or was it I Want You Back? It was one of the two.
Dude, I had a lot of coconut martinis by that time. I don't have any idea what song was on. Oh boy.
When you look back at the history of the creative arts, it takes a lot of darkness to create the light the arts bring to the world.
Thanks for joining us this week. And if you enjoyed our conversation, please subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and go over to Apple Podcasts to rate and review.
Please check out our sources listed in the episode notes. They're amazing.
And you can find us on Facebook and Instagram and all of the social platforms at Crime of the Arts Podcast.
We're looking forward to having you back next week. Until next time, peace out, everybody.
Peace out, everybody.